All right. So sometimes God will tell you to do something, and it'd be like I guess your burning bush, right? It's something that's burning inside of you, and you know you're supposed to do it. And you, like Moses, you say, God, you know, who am I? You know, I can't do it. And you don't see, the path. You don't see the things that God wants ahead of time. And we're people that like to know. Where we want to know what's going on. And when we don't know, we get nervous. And so we ask all these questions. And sometimes God is just saying, I don't need you to ask a lot of questions. I just need you to do it. I just need you to do it. I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of that. I mean, just being honest. It's not about what you like. It's about being obedient. So when those times come, you just do. God has given you all the tools you need. I think most of the time it's our own fear. Moses said that, he couldn't really speak. You want me to go speak to these people and I have a speech impediment. But he had already had them ready. There's your brother, I got you. He'll help you. What's your next excuse? It's almost like God is so prepared for your excuses that he prepares the way ahead of time so that when you come up with all these excuses, he's already got your answers. At that point, it's just a matter if you're going to be willing to do it. So, I don't know how many people know that I'm a painter, among other things. And God also gives me a word quite often. And I said, well, God, I know you want me to do something, but I don't know what. And then I was looking at my email. It was an email from John Eckert, who's a prophet. And it was talking about your hands are anointed. And I know so many times where God will tell me to go speak to somebody and I don't know initially what I'm supposed to be saying to this person. But he just says go and do it anyway. So I'm like, okay, Lord. You said paint. Okay. What do you want me to paint? I'll give it to you when you start. Okay. He says, I'll give you what to say. All Moses knew was to tell Pharaoh to let his people go. That's all it. Everything else had to be kind of given to him a little bit at a time as it went. I guess that's where I'm at in this. So I'm starting off with blue, a dark blue at that. Anytime I think of like a dark blue sky, I don't know about you, but I really get to thinking about like a storm is coming. And if you live in Augusta, like that's kind of where we've been at, right? I mean, it's been raining continuously. So we all kind of grasp the concept of the storm at this point. The storm is so, it's a mixture of feelings, It's calming, Sometimes it's scary. You know how they say some of your best sleep is when it's raining? I mean, you don't know what to expect. 1 minute it's just like, the rain is falling slightly, and then next thing you know, there's this big thunder sound, right? Out of nowhere, and then there's this lightning, and there's this, And it goes for something that was so peaceful, you know, that you can go to sleep to, that now you're up here like scared out, you're scared out your mind. I guess that's how life is sometimes, though. You know, you sit there and you go through life and you're just, you're used to certain troubles, right? Like, because we already know you're not going to go through this life and never have any problems. That's just not going to happen, you know? And if you don't have any problems, then you might want to question whose side you're on, because even Jesus had to go through some things, and so we will be tested, we will be tried. And because we're so accustomed to understanding that, you know, we were already prepared. We build our faith up. We follow Jesus. Like, okay, God is going to get us through this. You know, he did it before. He'll do it again. And there are sometimes in the midst of that storm when you think you can handle it. When you think, I got this. I've been through storms before. This is nothing new. That you just end up wondering, like, how long is this gonna last? And you ever been in those times where the rain comes down and then it's like all of a sudden it goes away and then it comes back like super hard? Like, you're sitting here thinking, I could have sworn it was over with. Like, you even get comfortable enough to go outside until you're gonna go somewhere. And you get outside and you didn't bring no umbrella. You like, oh, the rain done came and the rain done went. We good. And as soon as you get good and out there, I mean out there, here come the rain. I mean, and it pours. And I don't mean a little bit of pouring. I mean, it pours so hard that you almost like can't even get out your car. You just kind of got to sit there, you know? In your mind, you're thinking, I could have just stayed home for this. I could have just stayed home if I was going to go through all of this, right? And I think that's how life gets sometimes. Like, sometimes you just feel like, did I have to go through this trial? You know, was this a necessary trial? Didn't my rain already come? Wasn't I just in a storm? I'm still drenching wet from the last situation. And God, here we go again with something else. When is it going to end? I heard Pastor Michael Todd saying, he was talking about being in the deep and he was coming from the scriptural passage where the disciples and Jesus were out on the boat. And they were asked to go out, and Jesus led them out there. And while they were out there, a storm came and they are losing it. I mean, and rightfully so, I guess. You know, you got all this stuff around you. And here it is. They have Jesus right there on board and they are panicking. I mean, you know. And Jesus is asleep. Just chilling. And I think what really hit me about that more than anything is that in times when you're going through it and you feel like, God, are you sleeping on me? You know, are you sleeping on my situation? I mean, you acting as if this ain't hurting me. Like, this is, you know, is this one of those things where I'm just supposed to trust you and smile through it and praise through it and be joyous anyway? And the thunder is coming and the rain and I am scared and I'm running scared. And when I look up, it just seems to be, everywhere I look is just nothingness. I look up and I feel like I'm in the middle of nowhere in my life. And I see the blue skies, and I know that the blue skies mean there's another day. That you said trouble won't last always. And but I don't see it right now. I don't know when the storm is going to come. I don't know when the thunder is going to hit again. I'm almost scared to live at this point because I don't know what's going to happen next. And I know you're telling me to trust you, and I know you're saying it's going to be okay, and I know you're saying, you know, I've brought you through before, and I hear all this stuff about, oh, the trials will come, you know. But But just because I know all that stuff doesn't mean I want to go through it. I mean, can someone just be honest with me about that? It's not about knowing it's going to come. It's about sometimes I just don't want to deal with it. But then we also understand the fact that we have to deal with these things because at the end of the day, if we don't go through anything, if when our dark times come, we just shut down. If when the enemy attacks, we just panic. If every time someone comes at us with an issue or feels like they're attacking us, we just ball up and run away. At every obstacle, every feeling of rejection, every time someone tells us no, we just run and cry. If we do that every single time, we'd be doing this our whole entire life, and we would be a balled up mess, and the enemy would just have us because at the end of the day, that's what he wants. He wants you to shut down. He wants you to give up. And he said, well, then why God let you go through that? Because you got to get stronger. You got to get stronger. So as your blue skies start getting darker and you can't figure out what's next, sometimes you just have to just wait. It's a process. Nobody wants to wait on a storm, right? Nobody wants to wait for stuff to happen. I mean, it's almost like a pessimistic view, isn't it? Like, well, something else is going to happen, so why try? You can't look at it like that. You know, that's how we give up. You have to look at it like, if I'm going through with purpose, and I know when I come out, I'll be greater than I was when I went in. You have to know that everything is a lesson learned to build you, to make you stronger. You don't get any stronger if you don't put in no work, if you don't go through something. It just doesn't happen like that. Reality is, we have to grow up. We don't like it, you know. But the only other alternative to not growing is dying. To not living is dying. And dying isn't always necessarily physical death. But there are areas in your life that you're dying because you just gave up. You just said, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of the storms. I'm tired of the rain. I'm tired of the fears. I'm tired of everything. And then that's why God is saying, well, if you just turn to me, I'm right here. I'm not panicking. I mean, you're panicking, but I'm not. And you say to yourself, well, I'm not God. I'm human. You know, that's our go-to excuse, right? I'm human. I'm human. And I don't like being out here alone. I don't like how it feels to feel like I'm just lost. Because doesn't it feel like you're like just in the middle of an ocean? Just no land, no grounding, nothing to stabilize you. Just out here in the water. And God says you're fighting so hard to stay afloat. You're fighting so hard. You're treading water, but you're gonna wear out. Eventually, you're gonna wear out. You can't tread water forever. Sometimes he's just saying, if you would just rest, if you would just rest, this would be a lot easier. Sometimes we look at it the wrong way. We look at the times when we're alone as if to say, like, that's the worst case scenario. And maybe all of you don't go through that struggle, but some people do. And God is saying, instead of looking at it as being alone, just look at it as being with me. Take a sabbatical from everything else in your life for once. And just be with me. Doesn't matter what it's looking like. Just rest easy. So sometimes it's just hard to rest easy. Know that I am the light. I bring all things together. It'll all work out for your good. There's something about how God can just take things and smooth it out in your life. He can take situations that may look bad in the time, but when He gets done, He'll fix some things in you that He couldn't fix when you were with other people. He'll smooth out some rough edges that He couldn't smooth out when you were with other people. He's saying, I just need to fix you, and I can't have you with everyone else. I gotta work alone. I gotta spend time just with you so I can focus on you. God is saying you need to focus on yourself sometimes. It's not about being alone with other people. It's about spending time with Jesus. God is a jealous God. And everything He does, He says, is good. And so I can only imagine that when He's working with me, that He wants it to be good. He doesn't want to share His work at that time with anyone else so that anyone else can try to get the glory and say that they had something to do with that. No. Because if you can't see the light of God in your life, and you won't know who to give the glory to, and you won't know who to turn to, and you won't understand your storms, and you won't understand your times when you're struggling. You won't get it, and you won't know that when it happens again to just rest easy in Him. And some of us haven't learned that. Like, some of us go through a little bit better than others because we've already learned this lesson. Some of us haven't. And it's okay. It's okay if you haven't learned the lesson, because it's a hard lesson to learn. This is, it's funny because I thought when I was going to do this painting, I thought it was going to all get done at once. I mean, that was my thought, at least. I mean, I've sat here many a time and just painted straight through with no problem. But God is showing me that even this is a process. So as I divide and I realize that there are stages to my life, that even though it all seems like it's clashed in together, the storm, the daylight, the ocean, everything is just like right there in my face. It all seems like it's all one big problem. It's not. Sometimes we go through multiple processes. Sometimes we have to go through things together. Some things work together like that. God, I can't pay my bills and then I just lost my job. What in the world? Right? See, two different storms. Like I was barely making it. I needed a promotion. I needed more money. And then it goes from that to now I have no money. And you're like, well, what in the world? And it's because God is trying to show you that He's your provider. See, we live in the water. We live out here in the depths of the ocean. We keep our minds here where it's dark. We keep our minds on the concept of the waves and the crashing. We keep ourselves upset with these things, these little things. And this is our focus all the time. This is our focus. We can never see the good in the midst of the storm right there. And that's okay. I mean, you're human. I mean, you may not always know how to go through stuff. It's a learning process. I mean, all you see is the waves. Sometimes that's how it is. And when you're not looking at the waves, then the only other thing you can see you're gonna get some is the storm. Never the in between. Never the in between. I mean, there's light in here. There's a light in the midst of your crashing waves and your storm. There's a silver lining of sorts. But all you can see. All you can focus on is the storm. The waves and the storm. Thunder and the lightning. No in between. I'm going to finish up this painting. There's more. I'm going to finish it up with you. And whoever's on. Because I know that there's something that God wants me to put out there. And I don't know why it's not coming as fast as I thought it was going to come. But I guess that's to get me out of myself. And I think that's it too. Like, you know, you don't dictate your process. You don't dictate how long the storm lasts. You don't get to do that. You don't get to say, well, at this point, this is when I'm going to come out. I'm coming out of my storm at this point. I mean, it would be so great if we could. We don't get to say how high the waves of our life are going to be. We don't get to say. There's layers to this, There's layers to your process. There's layers to the things you go on in life. And just like I thought that I might be finishing this whole painting, God said no. He said there's layers to that too. And I'm okay with that. And sometimes you have to be okay too. You have to find a place where you can just be okay. Sometimes you have to say, it's okay to cry. It's okay to go through. It's okay to see the waves. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel like you're lonely, but just know that you're not. Like, sometimes we have irrational feelings, It's like I'm all alone and there's people all around you. And I mean, it may not make any sense to anybody else, but understand that and know that God understands. Like, He understands where you're at. And even if you're mad, you're like, well, you put me out here, Lord. You put me in this situation. He understands that you're upset about that too. He really is. Oh, okay, I know you're mad. Sometimes you just gotta embrace it. Embrace this is where you're at right now. And when you embrace it, don't just embrace it and be upset about it, Like, embrace it and know that God is doing something in that season. Even if you don't see it. Even if you don't get it. Like I said, you don't have to know when the storm is going to end. Just know that it will. And you don't necessarily have to know how. Because everything is in God's timing. And it's all about what is God trying to do at this point in my life. Sometimes you just have to sit down. Engulf yourself in the crashing of the waves. Hear it. Accept it. Take it in. And hear God's voice. Sometimes the thunder and the lightning is just God's way of trying to get to you because you don't listen and you're hard-headed as all get out. And sometimes He just has to get a little bit louder, and sometimes it's scary. But He'll go all the way out there to get you. To pull you back in, to bring you back to where you're supposed to be. Some of us get out there way too far, and God never intended for us to be out there that far. He never intended for you to be where you're at. He never intended for you to feel like this. God doesn't want that for you. He wants you to be in a good place, but we put ourselves, that thing called free will, we go and we do and I got this and I don't need God and I don't need people and I'm strong and I'm this and now we out here and we mad and we upset with everybody and everything. And you feel like God led you out here, but sometimes the only way He could get to you was to get you out here. Where you would listen finally. Because you wouldn't listen. You won't do. But such a loving God to be willing to go out here this far. That when I done got myself caught up and out here in life, deep in the middle of the sea, in a place where you would think I wouldn't be able to survive. I'm looking at drowning. And to know that he's never let go of my hand. So even if you are in the middle of your raging sea and it's crashing and it's coming at you, know that God is with you. And no, nobody else may not be with you. Stop looking for other people to be with you. Nobody want to be out here in this mess with you. You don't want to be out there. Why are you expecting other people to go out there with you? This is the season. This is the time. This is the place where he has to deal with you. And even though you see it as raging, nothing's above God. He's not afraid. And it's so good to know that my master, that whoever is going to be out here with me, at least they're not afraid, because I am. And you take people out there with you, they're going to be afraid too, so they don't need to go anyway. I pray that you deal with where you're at right now. I pray that for those of you who are sitting here feeling like you're just in the middle of your storm, you're sitting out here in your sea, you're being cast to and fro, and you just don't know when it's going to end. Know that you are not alone. You're not alone because God's with you, but you're not alone because you're not the only one. We all go through. We all go through. But the fastest way to come out is to follow him. Follow Christ out. Stop fighting God's will for you. See, the waters will calm down. Life will be beautiful again. It won't always be raging. When I come back, I'm going to I want to make this a little more personal. So pray for me. You know, this kind of feels like, exposing myself in a sense. Anybody, whoever, has the unction of God to minister to people or to talk, know that he deals with you first. We call it stepping on your own toes. But he deals with you first. I guess for me, I'm more focused on being out here in the water and trying to stay afloat. Because I'm fighting. But sometimes we just need to lay back and let the waves carry us. Stop trying to tread water. Just lay back. Rise above it. Relax in your entirety and just lay back and float above your problems. And just let the waves carry you. Because fighting it ain't going to get you nowhere. Sometimes you just gotta be still. I'm gonna put this one last thing. Sometimes you have to be as still as a piece of wood. Sometimes we're looking for something to hold on to stay afloat, and we don't need nothing to help us stay afloat. We are afloat. We, people, humans, you get in, if you ever got in the water, in a pool, you know how you just lay back and you float? Sometimes you have to be like driftwood. And just float through it. Be still. Rest easy. And just float through it. Maybe the hardest thing for you to do is to actually be still in the middle of your storm. Sometimes it's what's the hardest to do. It's what we're supposed to be doing. Stop panicking. Stop worrying about everything else. And just drift through it. Find your peace. One thing I understand is Jesus was able to sleep because he is peace. He could sleep through the storm because he had a peace that surpassed all understanding. Literally. We just have to grab a hold of that same peace that surpasses all understanding. That's how you get through the crashing waves. That's how you get through the deepest part of your ocean. You're out there now. I mean, that's what it is. This is where you're at. But eventually, like all driftwood, you come back to shore. I pray that you find your peace in the midst of your storm. I pray that whatever's going on in your life in this moment right now, that you find a way to just hold on to God and get anchored in Him. And even when you're not feeling certain, that you just trust in Him and know that it doesn't matter about my feelings. That I know and I believe in a God who's going to take care of me, who's going to carry me. And if I can't get to a place where I can float, then I can just hold on to Him and He'll take me through. I'll finish this up with you guys next time. I don't know when next time is going to be. I can imagine sooner than later, seeing how He kind of already set me on this path. So, yeah. I hope this blessed you like it's blessing me. Till next time.